Alright guys, I'm here to give you another Spongebob episode, and I'm now transferred into the spare room, and this is the first time I made a video in this room, and we're fixing up the house so it's now a clear room now, so I'm going to use this scenery maybe not as frequent, but sometimes to make videos. Um, so now I'm going to give you the second Spongebob review of the day, um, and this one is episode 32. It's called Valentine's Day, and it came on in February 14th, 2014, the day of Valentine's Day. And it was a good episode. You could probably hear echoes, by the way, because there's nothing in here, I should mention. Um, and this was the big Valentine's Day episode, and I actually thought in my mind they went all out for this episode. When the episode starts out, the water was pink, and there was like a rock on the water that was shaped into the size of a heart, and yeah, it was pretty interesting, and they ended up doing a lot with it. And then SpongeBob's just saying Happy Valentine's Day, Bikini Bottom, and is giving out Valentines. He gives one to Squidward. He ends up whipping his up. He gives one to Mrs. Puff, who ends up crashing a boat, and Plankton was probably pissed that he wasn't getting anything, but he ended up giving like a tiny one to him. And the scenery you usually see like bubbles when it goes to the next scene, but this time you saw hearts. And Sandy gave SpongeBob a Valentine, rubbing a nut in the shape of a heart, and SpongeBob dips usually it's like a bubble wand to dip it into, I think, into chocolate, and blows it in a bubble shaped in the shape of a heart into Sandy, and somehow her thing opens, and it goes in and says chocolate, and she talks about how Patrick's gonna love his gifts, and it was a big chocolate balloon in the shape of a heart with Patrick on it, like a drawing of him. And the plan is they're gonna go to the Valentine's Day carnival. They're gonna go on the Ferris wheel, and Patrick is gonna be there. And when they're on the Ferris wheel and they land on the top, Sandy will arrive, and Patrick will be happy. And then Patrick's making SpongeBob's Valentine's Day present. It's gonna be a rock in the shape of a heart. And when SpongeBob comes up behind him, he thinks SpongeBob's inside the rock, so he destroys the rock, which was funny. And he ends up giving him his present. And actually, Patrick, this time I should mention, wore a shirt in this episode. He wore a shirt with a heart on it. Shock. And SpongeBob hypes up this Valentine's present like it's the most amazing, most epic present you're ever gonna see. And he's like, but it's not ready yet. And he's like, and then SpongeBob's like, is it ready now? Patrick's like, is it ready now? Is it ready now? So then they go to the carnival. Patrick thinks that it's the carnival, but it's not. And he goes, and he comes out though, and when he goes, okay, everybody out, this is my carnival. And he's like, it's not the carnival. And and then SpongeBob gives him the quarter. Patrick thinks it's the quarter, but it's not. And he thinks it's good. Then SpongeBob tells Patrick to go buy some cotton candy, and Patrick thinks it's cotton candy. And he chases the cotton candy guy around, and Sandy's all ready to bring in the balloon. And SpongeBob wants to wait because he's getting a little cocky, so he wants to wait until Patrick can guess. He wants to entertain him for a few minutes. But so Sandy agrees, but the problem is Sandy ends up coming into combat with chocolate-eating scallops. But that's actually, it's not clams, they're scallops. I think they're the same thing, though. So that's not a good thing. But then back at the place, Patrick's still trying to guess his Valentine's Day present, and he thinks it's a tent that was in the carnival. Some random guy, which would be weird. Or the Paramecium, and then Sponge was like, nope. He'd say no to everyone, and Patrick thinks, hey, maybe it's on the top of Mount run over and fall off or something. So he looks and obviously he falls off, and then he's like, it wasn't there either. And SpongeBob goes, are you sure? And then Patrick just keeps going up, up it over and over again. And then SpongeBob tells Sandy that he can bring the chocolate, that he can bring the gift in now. But Sandy says that she can't because of the scallops. They keep attacking the balloon, so she's trying to fight off the scallops as she's talking to SpongeBob. So she has to tell, she tells SpongeBob to go on the Ferris wheel and she'll meet him there. And SpongeBob's really worried that Patrick's not going to get his Valentine now, which he should be, and it's his own fault because he should have had it put in earlier. But understandable reasons, this thing's happened. So then they get on the Ferris wheel, they land on the top, they're waiting for his gift to come up. And SpongeBob contacts Sandy with the walkie-talkie because they were talking on walkie-talkies. And Sandy says that they're off course. And she's trying to fight off scallops as she's talking to him, and then she gets distracted by SpongeBob, and one of the scallops bites into the balloon, and the balloon starts to pop. So they have to go to SpongeBob has to go to Plan B, and then SpongeBob tries to tell Patrick, and Patrick's like, "Oh, it's hot in here." So then he tears off his Valentine shirt and starts walking around the Ferris wheel, and I guess he's so fat that the whole Ferris wheel just starts bouncing. And then SpongeBob shows Patrick's his gift, and he just holds out his hand, and Patrick's like, what's that? It says it's a handshake, a friendly handshake. And he's like, that's the big gift? It's like a friendly handshake. He's like, that's a big gift, a handshake? He's like, a friendly handshake. And then he shakes his hand, and then Patrick holds it up his hand, and he's all pissed. And then they go on this montage of them having a lot of fun. With SpongeBob having a lot of fun of the Friendly Bounds, the roller coasters, and the House of Fun. And Patrick just all pissed with his hand held up like this. And then back at the bench, Patrick says that he's been thinking. I know handshake doesn't seem like much, but it's the thought that counts. And as he's trying to get these sentences, he's just pretty much saying, it's the thought that counts. I can respect that. I know I've been your friend for a while, but at least it's the thought that counts. And then people just come up, and SpongeBob had given them these great presents. He gave somebody a freaking bike, for instance. And then eventually Patrick just snaps. He starts going on this rampage, destroys the balloons, destroys the guy dressed in the Hulk costume, even the Hulk guy. And then he tries to destroy this big stick on a Hulk, this Hulk on a stick, but he can't destroy it, so then he finds a little kid's lollipop, destroys that. And then SpongeBob, and it's like Patrick. And then Patrick looks all like angry, like he's in beast mode. And they all run away, and then Patrick wants SpongeBob, and then one of the guys just throws SpongeBob right out there. So he was in like a crowd of people. He just throws SpongeBob right out there. And then Patrick says, you broke my heart. Now I'm going to break something of yours. And he even said, and SpongeBob's like, okay, Patrick, I know I deserve this. And then he goes, they didn't give me anything either. So then they try to give him like a bunch of Valentine's Day cards, flowers, and chocolate. And he's like, nope, it's too late for that now. For all of you. And then he walks and just crushes it. And then SpongeBob's all scared. And then finally, Sandy arrived with Patrick's gift. She ended up fighting off the scallop. She tied him up in ropes and released him. And SpongeBob tells him to turn around because the gift is here. And Patrick doesn't believe him. He doesn't want to turn around. The crowd chants for him to turn around. He doesn't agree to it. He's like, nothing. And I repeat, nothing that you do, nothing will make me turn around. And then Sandy says hi to Patrick, and he turns around and says hi. And he sees the gift, and he's like, so happy. And then he bites into the chocolate. The balloon all pops. And then at the end of the episode, Patrick says, oh, SpongeBob, you didn't have to get me anything. Well, one, clearly he did because you went on a huge rampage when he just gave you a little handshake. So imagine how much bigger of a rampage he went on if he didn't get him anything. So just mentioning that. But as for the episode, I thought this was also a fine episode. Like, I did like the Suds episode, but I think this was a fine episode. They really did they went all out for the Halloween episode. They also went all out, I think, for the Valentine's Day episode by just little things. Having the water be pink. Having Patrick wear a shirt with hearts. So they really went all out for this episode, which I really like. So I really like this episode. But that's really all I have to say. Subscribe to the this channel and add Owen Perodich on Facebook. And follow me on Twitter and all that stuff. It's all down in the description box below.